All right, I'm back. Probably blowing up my phone here, people. Oh, okay, but like, so what I was saying is, for the part two of this, sorry I'm making this so long. I really didn't plan on it because I'm trying to go up in the gym, and I really gotta pee right now, but excuse me. But anyway, um, that post traumatic stress made us a wild. We were. It's like everything about our environment, right? Like if you illustrate it like, let me illustrate it like this. If you had a bear and you encaged them, a bear is huge. I don't know, like a 9 foot tall bear, right? Let's say this bear named Bobo is 9'2", and you put him in a little cage that's a little over 10.5 feet, in diameter and whatever you want to call it. He barely can move. And let's say that makes him stressed enough because he's claustrophobic, he's cramped, right? He's a wild animal, right? He's not used to that. He's used to being going to free. And anything that you enclose and you keep claustrophobic after a while, it's just gonna be a little insane, right? You keep it in isolation, it's not natural, right? So now he is already enclosed, right? And everybody has left the gym and they've been looking at me crazy, like, what is this dude doing? Sitting here, is he doing YouTube? Is he doing a viral video? They're probably like, oh, this guy, who is this guy I think he is? He's probably talking about some gym stuff. And it's like, nope, not talking about gym stuff, mind your business. But anyway, and you say you poke this bear with a stick, and he's already like stressed, claustrophobic the heck out, right? Let's say you just poking him, right? And what happens? You're triggering, right? He's already stressed, and you poking him, you're aggravating him, right? He gonna go wild, right? He gonna go crazy. He gonna be ferocious all over the place. He gonna be ripping his own body apart, trying to get out, trying to bite the cage, to bite the stick. He gonna be going crazy. He gonna be going through stress, trauma, right? So now, if you look at it, now who's the victim? Who's to blame? Is the bear to blame? Because the bear is doing what a bear does, Or is the person who encaged them in the cage and is poking them with the stick to blame, because they're the one who in control of those two things, right? So if you look at it in the same way, black people, minorities, not just black people, but Chinese or Asians or Hispanics, but I'm specifically talking about black people, and they're not without the same type of struggle either, or anybody from a foreign country, with the same disposition as black person. So I'm not taking any credit away from them either, but I'm talking specifically about what I know about my people or my heritage, right? For the sake of my point, so, and if you look at it, in the ghetto was the cage. Now what was the poking, right? You could say that it was the police, you could say it was the restrictions, you would say it was the expectations, you could say it just was other black people butting heads, right? You could say it was the poverty, right? And the inability to relinquish your own poverty or elevate yourself out of your own poverty. So it really, inside of your head was the stick was inside of your head. The poking was inside of your own head. You were poking your own self because of all of these factors, right? So to move on to my point, what that says about us as black people is basically, we're not the same, man. We're not the same. It's not the same. We ain't the same type of people. Black people, not Africans, not I don't know, I'm not African. I'm not from a recent African descendants that, so I'm not like third generation Haitian or something like that. I don't know. I'm third generation Black American. So that's what I'm talking about right now. us as people, we're not the same, man. Americans typically, specifically American blacks, right? We're not the same. We're not of the same DNA as everybody else. We came from being manufactured, right? We're a manufactured people, basically. We were manufactured and put on a line of, assembly line. And we were made to, make other people rich. We're a manufactured people, right? More or less. I hate to say it so crudely, but for the sake of, illustrating the point, we're a manufactured people, right? So we're not organic, right? Like the banana. The banana is a manufactured fruit. Because the real banana don't look like the banana you see up in the grocery store. It's not the Tropicana banana. It's some small, weird banana with a whole bunch of seeds that you probably can't even really eat. So that thing is a manufactured banana. That's not an organic banana. So just like that, don't you, not even gonna say that. Not gonna get anybody any ideas with the banana being associated with black people. But stick with me here. Calm down. We're manufactured people. And because of that manufactured element, we are not as whole as people, as other people, and I'm saying people as a people, right? A person, a lineage, a divinity, a culture of people, right? We have no culture because we were manufactured here, made in America, right? Made in America. And because of we're manufactured, any culture we have is the culture we built from zero, right? Being here from zero. So what that means is normally the culture we have is what we made from the scraps that we had. So we turn, and because we're of the genius of our people, we turned a disadvantage to an advantage, right? We turned being in the ghetto, and we took it from being something that we were clowned upon for being uncleanly and impoverished. And we turned that and we turned it around and we made it something to be cool, to where people now who ain't from the ghetto want to be like, oh, I'm got street cred, right? We turned that around, made it an advantage, and then we made a culture off of it, and then we made, we monetized that to the point to where the other people were like, yo, let me get a cut of that. Let me put you on a billboard. Let me put your new, is this called music? Let me go ahead and help you out there. Let me go ahead and help you get richer. So you can make me money too. So, and that's a great thing, because we made an art from a tragedy. And because of that, we have culture now, right? But at the same time, like most things, that culture has been tarnished and washed, and it's lost its actual trueness, and it's been turned around and corrupted to be more about, it's basically been washed of all of its rich culture, because now it's all about money. Now it's all about everything. It's all about face value. It's all about the things that are terrible, that used to be talked about as just putting a light on it. Those things have been extorted or have been exploited to make money, to make a person feel more cool. And what that transfers over to is the kids who do those things that they see in entertainment, and basically they want to be what they see in entertainment, so it perpetuates a cycle, which makes it just dampens us, and it shows how it just crazily shows how really just lost as a people we can get, right? because this happens, and it just happens, and it's perpetuated, right? But that's because we are a people who are lost, right? So we were lost. We were stricken of everything we had. So everything that we have is something that we made with our own two hands, right? Because we weren't given nothing. We made everything we had with our own two hands. So because, and I want to say all that, I'm saying all that to say, because of spirituality, because of, trying to be spiritual, it's not the same route. We don't have the same advantages. We don't have the same route as anybody else, right? If we were to be a calm people, a people where we learn to just accept what we have, and not let us get angry and all of that, it's easier for a person who had a calmer who has a calmer consciousness in his body, right? In his body or her body, who has the advantage of not being a manufactured people, right? Who has an advantage of not having that wild instinct that we have as being a manufactured people, being a black person, being a person who is made from zero, made from non-organic ingredients, who are just made from just not knowing who we are and just having to find out who we are as we go. So it's not as easy for us to be calm. It's not as easy as for us to be spiritual. It's not as easy for us to be meditating. It's not as easy as for us to just turn the other cheek, because we have that blood, we have that DNA from a people who were traumatized, who have that fight or flight. That fight or flight is in each of our blood. And like that wild animal, that wildness is still in us. And it can be triggered. And it's just there. It's just part of us. So it's not easy, It's not just easy for us to be turning the other cheek as Christians. It's so easy for us to be maybe a Buddhist. It's not so easy for us to be maybe a yogi. It's not so easy for us to be these other things that, these other peoples follow, who have the advantage of being a people who were built, have the advantage of a people being born and have the lineage and have the ancestry in these makings of calmness and peace, because we weren't made, they have the advantage because they have the peace from their forefathers and foremothers, right? They have that ability because it was an innate in them because of their ancestors, right? Their ancestors followed these things, and they were peaceful, and they were they weren't being easily triggered, they weren't being easily angered, or they had the ability to deal with their oppositions easier than us, or not. I don't want to say easier. That's not where I'm trying to go. And they had the ability to. They had the tools, right? They had the tools to deal with the opposition that they had. They had the advantage of having those, cosmic consciousness individuals or beings who kind of like, marked their part in history and helped everybody after them try to, or basically get the proper way of living life, right? And we, as a black people, didn't have, basically that, right? We had the civil rights, right? We had the fight, but our people were built, our people were made, and they were telling us to fight. So even the people that we had, like the Malcolm X's or the Martin Luther Kings, they were telling us to fight, not fight physically, but fight against the oppression. So it wasn't even a peace. It wasn't a ideology, or it wasn't a philosophy that said just be away from all these things. It was a philosophy that said don't take this. So even that was it had it's war to it, it's opposition to it, it's struggle to it, right? So those other like Indian or India, who they had all of the people that were yogis before them, makes it easier for them to be calm, makes it easier for them to just kind of get back to that. And a black person who tries to be a yogi, all of those people that before him or her who had that fight or flight, who had that wild instinct, it makes it harder to be a natural yogi. It makes it harder to be a yogi, to be a calmer person who looks at, who accepts, who takes, and does all, just, goes through life not really getting big up on everything, or not really, getting too, riled up, or who is calm and who's casual and who knows, how to, go about every part of life and just being calm and completely knowing yourself, completely confident, completely not having to stress or worry, because everybody who came before you was stressed, was worried, was angry, was in some type of way, who either knew somebody who they absorbed. They saw their mother be angry. They saw the tragedy of, them being, their ancestors, their grandmother being harmed. They absorbed that into their being, and it went into their consciousness. And when whoever made you, you got that trait. You got those genes. So it was in you, and it's been in you without you even knowing. But the thing that brings it out is the trigger. Anything that triggers that, it makes that, you see that wild instinct, and you're like, what was that? So because of, and I'm saying it that way because, and I'm saying it because that wildness in us as black people makes it hard for us to be peaceful, because we are just naturally instinctual. We naturally have that wildness, right? We naturally have that fight or flight, we have that in us, and not necessarily other peoples were not born and bred with that in them, and we are born and bred with that in us, right? And we still live in a country that still does the same thing, right? They still don't like it. They still don't want us here. Certain people still don't want us. They still want to exploit us. So it's not as easy to be spiritual. It's not as easy to just be peaceful. It's not as easy to just see everything the best way. And for anybody who is black, like myself, I study a lot of Eastern philosophy. I say to myself, it's not as easy, because we are a different people than basically any other people anywhere, because we are a manufactured people. So, and I realized that as a person trying to study, Eastern philosophy, or think in a more Eastern or a more understanding of nature of self, or nature of non-self, or nature of the entire cosmos, the consciousness of the cosmos, and all those things like that. I say that to really get to a point of understanding within myself, to where I understand that it's not easy, because of what I am, because who I am, because of the people before me, what they were, what they went through, because of my history, because of my ancestry, because I'm, basically a more or less a product of a manufactured and enslaved person. So it's not as easy. And when you understand that, I think it would, in understanding that, I think it makes it easier, because you know that you kind of have this disadvantage within your being that's just nothing you could do. It's nothing you could do about it. It's just a part of who you are, and it's kind of something you have to tackle if you want to learn how to really be a person who is just being, and not trying to be this or that, and just trying to go on in the best way that understands how everything is connected, as apart from going and forward in a pattern of belief, or a pattern of understanding this belief, or going by this belief, but really understanding how to be and just be. And it's kind of something where you have to just come to terms with the fact that as a black person, you're a different person than everybody else. So, and you understand that what's easy, they had advantages where you didn't have advantages because of their genes, because of their long lineage of the people who were thinking just like that, who passed it off to them. So when they started thinking like that, it was easier. Where so I myself comes from a people of fight or flight, instinctual, trying to survive, trying to really fighting for survival. Like being out in the wild animal and being out in the wild and being a wild animal. So that's really where I'm going with it. With that, spirituality as being black, not spirituality as Holy Bible or something like that as religion. Not anywhere near that. Just talking about spirituality in the sense of beyond the intellect, beyond what intellect can explain. So hopefully I didn't bore you. If you watched this whole thing, maybe you got something from it, maybe you didn't, but I think it was a worthwhile point in expressing, and I wanted to express that. But I need to go up here and get up in this gym and get this workout done. So I'm gonna end the video right here. So I appreciate it. I really appreciate it. If you watched it, tell your friends, maybe speak on it. If you have something to say, I would love to hear your thoughts, opinions. If you agree with me, if you don't agree with me, hey, we learn from, new things. We don't learn from doing the same things, right? So thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.